Regular meeting of the East China School Board, East China Board of Education to order. We will start with a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This being the January meeting, the first meeting of a new calendar year, we take this opportunity for the board to reaffirm their oath. Ms. Tina Weglars, you will administer the oath.
Board members, please stand. Raise the right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of this office
the duties of this office
as a member of the Board of Education
as a member of the Board of Education
of East China School District,
of East China School District,
St. Clair County, Michigan,
St. Clair County, Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Again, this being the first meeting of the calendar year, we elect officers for the 2016 year. We start with President. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Jim Buer as president.
Support by Mrs. Murphy. Any other nominations? Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Congratulations, Mr. Buer, President Buer.
All yours.
And I formally provide you the gavel to to take over the meeting from here on out.
Thank you very much. Our Vice President, nominations. I nominate Mr. Glenn Kenigbauer.
Support.
Supported. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So moved. Office of Treasurer.
I nominate Amy Murphy.
Support.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So moved. Office of Secretary.
I'd like to nominate Jeannie Frank.
Support.
Supported. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So moved. We have our officers. Our next item on our agenda is the items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Start with the Board of Education members. Anyone have anything to speak about?
Yes, if Chris Ming doesn't mind, I'd like for him to come up and talk about the Pink Halo. I think this is what, the 5th or 6th year for that, Chris?
8.
Okay,
Oh.
8.
Members of the board, I'd like to talk a little bit about Pink Halo. Marine City has the pleasure this year of hosting the 8th annual Pink Halo event at Marine City High School. And that event actually starts this weekend. This year, we've decided to do something a little bit different and involve the entire district in the Pink Halo event. We've instituted a Spirit Week, which started today. So you can look around the room and see a lot of purple. That purple is a result of support for all cancers. And that was today's Spirit theme. We've asked the principals of each of the schools to take pictures of the students that they see dressed up. And it's going to be part of our presentation during the Pink Halo event. Tomorrow is a pink out day across the entire district, so we ask that everybody wear pink. White is our Wednesday day for remembrance. We ask that people maybe put a little bit of tape remembering somebody who's been affected by cancer. And then on Thursday, kind of open it up a little bit. It's supposed to be Pink Halo shirt day, but some of the elementaries didn't have the sizes appropriate, so we've kind of opened that up to the principals to be creative. I know Pine River is going to be doing something basketball or sport themed for that particular day in support. Just go kind of open it up a little bit to the elementary students, making them part of the whole program. Friday night at 7 p.m. at Marine City High School, we'll have the staff game. It's the third time we've played that. It'll be the staff of the north end versus staff of the south end. Look forward to bodying up Mr. Distelrath over there in the post. So it should be fun. We've had a lot of fun with it the past couple of years. It's been a very competitive game, and it was low 80s score, so it's been very, very fun, very competitive, and the kids have really gotten behind it too, getting to see their coaches and teachers in action. Saturday is the full day event. It starts at noon with the 9th grade boys game, St. Clair versus Marine City, and it goes every 2 hours. So we have alternating boys and girls, JV girls at 2, JV boys at 4, varsity girls at 6, and varsity boys at 8 p.m. Throughout the day, there's basket raffles, there's different bagel tosses, games, all kinds of fun events going on. We also have the cancer quilt on display, and that's for the river area. And there are over 1,400 names of people who have been affected by cancer on that quilt. And they will be on site taking down more names and stories, and we'll actually be sewing on site. It's free to add somebody's name to that and write a story in the book, but donations are accepted. 2/3 of all the money that we raise goes to the American Cancer Society, with the other third going to our local St. John's River District Oncology Unit.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chris.
Awesome,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I wanted to thank Suzanne Cibola and Jeff Austin. I noticed that they were both instrumental in buying a portable basketball. I'm probably going to screw this up. A basketball net for our special needs children. I think that's great. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Felix and the 8th grade boys team for the tremendous support they showed of one of their members. And then the last thing, there's probably a lot more going on, so I don't mean to offend anybody if I didn't mention anything, but Steve and Nancy Mott's son, the one that is out at U of M, is up for the equivalent of the Heisman Award in hockey, and you can go online and vote for him. So something to be. Pardon me?
There's a link on
It's-
Facebook.
There's a link on Facebook. So something to be proud of to members of our education community and their son.
Awesome. Dr. Skolko.
Several things. Just a reminder that tomorrow begins half days for the secondary schools other than St. Clair Middle. St. Clair Middle is on the elementary schedule. So tomorrow, Marine City Middle, Marine City High, and St. Clair High are on a half day starting first semester exams. Wednesday, the entire district is half days. Thursday, half days, and Friday is no school for students. Teachers will have Records Day cleaning up that first semester, and we start second semester a week from today. M-STEP is the state test that replaced the MEEP, and those tests were administered last spring, and we received the results for those exams, and Mrs. Woolman will have a short presentation tonight, but the parent letters that have the scores, we received those the Friday before Christmas break. Those will be going home with your students on Thursday as well, so please look for those. Chili Heart Run is coming up on February 20th. That is the East China Education Foundation's primary fundraiser. We know that the East China Education Foundation provides the mini grants for classrooms, teachers in our classrooms throughout the year. And so we would ask that anyone who is interested in running that 5K or walking a shorter distance, please sign up via the East China Education Foundation Facebook page, and it will be on the district homepage starting this week. If you prefer not to run or walk, they will always take sponsorships as well, again, supporting our teachers and students in the classroom. This weekend and next weekend, St. Clair High School's Theater Department presents The Addams Family, Friday and Saturday this week. It's a musical, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday the next week. So please try to make plans to attend that. And lastly, I want to celebrate and thank Eddy Elementary School. A week ago today, Martin Luther King Day, was a day of service, and they used that opportunity to collect over $700 for the Genesee United Way in support of the Flint water crisis. And so we thank them for all that they did. Thank you, President Buer.
A lot of things happening in the district and the generous hearts of everybody here. Next item is our special recognition, Fall Athletic Awards, Mr. Chris Ming and Mr. Jeff Cook.
Dr. Skelka and members of the board, thank you for having me here this evening to represent our fall athletes and present some awards to them. First, team award. Our varsity football team were the 2015 MAC Gold League champions. From that varsity football team, Dennis Fitzsimmons was all-league, all-area first team, and all-state. Varsity football, Jacob Headley, all-league, all-area first team. And Coach Ron Glodich was the MAC Gold Coach of the Year. Alyssa Crampton's from our girls varsity swim and dive team, and unfortunately she could not be here this evening. She's receiving all-area first team, all-regional, and she was a state qualifier for diving. She's also a state-ranked bowler, and that's where she is this evening.
Oh, neat.
Our varsity volleyball team were the 2015 MAC Gold League champions. Very sick this evening and unable to attend was Taylor Frank. She was all-league, all-district first team, and she was the MAC Gold MVP. Kelly Thomas was the MAC Gold Coach of the Year for varsity volleyball. Thanks, guys.
Yep. That's what Mr. Headley's here for.
Now to present the St. Clair Athletic Awards, Dr. Jeff Cook.
Good evening, Dr. Skelka, members of the board. We will begin by recognizing our team awards for fall of 2015. For our varsity girls swim team, they were the MAC White Sportsmanship Award winners, the MAC White Dual and Division champions, and the MHSA State Championship runner-up team in Division 3. That's the highest finish in school history, and they did break 10 of our 12 school records this fall. Our varsity boys team was the MAC Red Sportsmanship Award winners, MHSA regional champions. This is the 13th time since 2000. They qualified for their 18th straight state finals berth and placed 7th overall at the state finals. Our varsity boys cross country team were the MAC White Dual and Division champions, MHSAA regional champions, and the MHSAA state qualifiers, noting that this is the 16th year in a row and the longest streak in the state in Division II and the Blue Water area, and they placed 7th at states this year. Our varsity girls cross-country team had 2 state finals qualifiers, Gabrielle Morton, who was an individual regional champion, and Morgan Markle. Gabrielle broke the school record, which was her own record, with a time of 18 minutes and 56 seconds. Individual awards in varsity football, Darrien Rutledge, all-league and all-area first team. I got to take a big breath here. Grace Shinsky, varsity swim, all league, all area first team, all state, state finals qualifier, state finals medalist, MAC White Division swimmer of the year, Times Herald swimmer of the year, state champion in the 100 backstroke and the 200 medley relay, state runner up in the 100 butterfly and the 400 freestyle relay. Grace is signed an athletic scholarship to attend Oakland University next fall. Emily Lanin, varsity swim, all league, all area first team, all state, state finals qualifier, state finals medalist, state runner up in the 400 freestyle relay. Heidi Likens, all league, all area first team, state finals qualifier, state finals medalist, state champion in the 200 medley relay. Molly Likens, all league, all area first team, all state, state finals qualifier, state final medalist, state champion in the 200 medley relay, state runner up in the 100 breaststroke. Alexis Smith, all league, all area first team, all state, state finals qualifier, state finals medalist, state champion in the 200 free relay, state runner up in the 400 freestyle relay. Elizabeth Lanin, all league, all area first team, all state, state finals qualifier, state finals medalist, state runner up in the 400 freestyle relay. Madison Lever, all league, state finals qualifier. Megan Lambert, varsity swimmer, all league and state finals qualifier. Samantha Dodson, all league and state finals qualifier. Lakin Coleman, all league, state finals qualifier. Jenna Meyers was the state finals qualifier. And Coach Ken Siggett, I think that might be the picture from his yearbook, was the MAC White Coach of the Year. He was the State of Michigan Coach of the Year and the MISCA Coach of the Year. In the sport of soccer, Ben El Garibali was all league, all district, all area first team, all region, and the MAC Gold MVP. Ryan Johnson was all district. Derek McComas, all district. Sam Picklehop, all district. In varsity tennis, Seth Pino was all league and all area first team. Ryan Mabin, all area first team. Shaun McCormick, all area first team. In boys cross country, Jack Keese was all league, all area first team, all region, all state, the MAC White MVP, and a state finals qualifier. Brendan Parr, all league, all area first team, all regional, state finals qualifier. Joshua Williams, All-League, All-Area First Team, All-Region, State Finals Qualifier. Collin Higgins, All-League, All-Area First Team, All-Region, and State Finals Qualifier. Derek Leduc, All-League, All-Region, State Finals Qualifier. Walker Child, All-League, All-Region, State Finals Qualifier. Walker could not be here this evening. Tig McQueen, All-League, All-Region, State Finals Qualifier. Mr. Charismatic, our coach, John Davidson, was the MAC White Coach of the Year. In girls cross country, Gabrielle Morton, All-League, All-Area First Team, All-Region, All-State, and State Finals Qualifier. Morgan Markle, All-League, All-Area First Team, All-Region, State Finals Qualifier. She's at practice right now, so congratulations to her. Kara Likens, Girls Golf, All-Area First Team, All-Region. And these are our award winners for St. Clair High School for Fall 2015. Thank you.
I'm hoping that. Can we check any of these off, or are we still too young? Hey, I built a sandcastle. I made an awesome paper airplane. Did you make your own cupcakes? That's what I have. Well, they're kind of just intermittent.
They're just, they got a bunch of these.
I think we're going to share it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Make something from
Probably
scratch.
the elementaries get these, because there's 5 kids. Donate, oh, hey, this is perfect for us. Donate your old clothes.
We're just speaking of our language. Oh, what
Harley roof all set.
happened? I know.
That's all I know.
Holy cow.
Yeah, oh, good, yeah, wow.
All right, we'll continue on. Mrs. Catherine Woolman.
Good evening, everyone. Well, we're going to keep the celebration going for just another minute. Across the state of Michigan, January is known as School Board Member Appreciation Month. We are very fortunate in East China to have a very dedicated group of individuals who serve as board members in our district. Board members serve without compensation, and that is true dedication on behalf of the staff, students, and family members in this community. On behalf of those family members, staff, and students, we would like to thank each of you for your service to our community. As a token of our appreciation, there are books on the table in front of you tonight. Those books have been purchased and will be donated to each building in your honor, recognizing not only the time that you give, each month here at these meetings, but all the time that you put in outside of these meetings, answering phone calls, emails, and doing the research behind the decisions that you make here tonight. So the books that you have in front of you, each of the elementary schools chose 100 things to do before I grow up, and I heard some of you looking at it earlier. There's lots of fun things, even when we grow up, that are in those books. Both middle schools chose Goodbye Stranger by Rebecca Steed. Marine City High and St. Clair High chose American Sniper. And Riverview East chose Peter Pan, the boy who wouldn't grow up. So those books we placed in the buildings this week in your honor. Thank you for your time, service, and dedication.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is Palms Elementary. Topic, how fitness impacts the culture of learning. Mr. Mike Demaclowski.
Fitness impacts the culture of learning. That wasn't strategic at all with all the fall awards we had tonight. So, Dr. Skalka, President Bewer, members of the board, thank you for allowing us to speak a little bit tonight on how fitness impacts the culture of learning. We'd like to give everyone some information today about something that we view very integral that not only at Palms, but all the elementary buildings in East China School District. It really impacts the culture of, like I said, not only Palms, but fitness truly is one of those culture things that really you may not see on some data report that we do on a consistent basis at all the elementary levels that we are very, very proud of here at the East China School District. And you should be able to see that as we just had, 50 some high schoolers walk across the stage here. So we're very proud of that, and we're very proud that we'd like to think that we play a little integral role with that at the elementaries. So there's many things, like I said, that impact the culture of learning at Palms, and one of those is fitness. Certain things I'd like to have actually Ms. Cornish, our PE teacher, and my 5th grade representative from Palms Elementary, Sammy Scrocky, talk about a little bit today, are the physical education classes. Ms. Cornish will talk a little bit about that. Our fun Tune-Up Tuesdays, which are a blast at Palms, and we would welcome anyone to be there. Dr. Skalka is shaking his head. He has been involved in the Tune-Up Tuesdays, hula hooping a little bit. And the Walk and Fitness Club, that has been very successful thanks to many parent volunteers. And there's many other activities that Ms. Cornish will talk about as well. So I hand over to Ms. Cornish.
Thank you. I do have to say it. People usually wait till I speak and then the room clears. But I guess the word got out and they kind of all took off. But everybody knows what physical fitness and activity does for the mind, body, and soul. So I'm not going to go over all that. But the CDC just talked about some results that they got on brain research, and it shows that there is a clear connection between what goes on physically and the brain, and that it shows that cognitive development occurs in tandem with motor ability. So basically what they're saying is that kids that are fit are healthy, they're more connected, they do better academically, they have better academic behaviors, and they're also less of a discipline problem. So here we are. If we want to set kids up to learn and to be successful, we need to get them active. And if we want active kids, we need active schools. So here we go. Physical education classes. All right. Hit it again. All right. We have a constant focus on fitness and being active. Kids are built to move. They love to move. So let's take advantage of that. Okay. We instill that value so that every day they think of, I'm going to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to get plenty of fluids. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to brush my fangs. And then I'm going to be active. And we want that to be instilled with them at least by the time they're 8 years old, because most of their values and most of the things that they think are important to them and that they'll follow through will be formed by those 8 years. And the joy of movement, it doesn't matter what you do, just move, be active, find something, have fun, and keep going. And it is an integral part of our academic day. It's just not reading, it's just not math, but you can do that and be active, and you can have the whole package. So if we want our kids running and going on full cylinders, we need to provide that experience for them. So, Tune-Up Tuesdays. We start at the beginning of the year. In fact, this year, the first day of school, the kids walked in, are we doing Tune-Up Tuesday today? It's like, well, give it a week here. We want you to meet your teachers and be in there first. So after the announcements at 9 a.m., this is a part of our school-wide culture. It is school secretaries and custodians and teachers and everybody telling kids that being active is important and being academic. Those two things go hand in hand, and they are very important. So in the classrooms, music's playing, kids are exercising, it's rocking, we're getting juicy, and we're all together as a team cheering each other on. Each grade level gets a chance to go into the hallway. We do hula hoops, we jump rope, we do core exercises. We've done the whip and nay-nay. I'm not saying mine was pretty, but when you're there, it doesn't matter. The whole staff, everybody was in the hallway. It didn't matter. Everybody was making their own thing up. So that was fun. And I do have to tell you one thing, and the more and more I thought about this, and Mr. D kind of was my inspiration for this, is we have skills now. So when we show kids activities, they see us walking up and we're shooting great form, and they're thinking, wow, you're just born with that. No, it doesn't happen that way. And they don't see that. They don't see the first time we pick up a piece of equipment and try it, that it's, the agony of defeat and sometimes the thrill of victory. Well, Mr. D came to our school, and of course he's all hands-on. So the first day we got the hula hoops up, he goes out and grabs one, and I'm just kind of watching, very interested. I should have brought one tonight just to show you his mad skills now, but I promised him, I wouldn't. So he picks a hula hoop up and he tries. Okay, not a lot of success, but what the kids witnessed was that picking it back up, doing the shake, asking the kids how it's done, and to hear what they say. Come on, Mr. D, you can do it, don't give up. So he got a little better the first day. Next week, he's out again. He's rocking it now. I really wish I would have defied your authority.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert,
but he's got it. And that's for everybody. The teachers do it, the kids do it, they're cheering each other on. And it's just, it's a great experience. Last year for March's Reading Month, we did Slam Dunk into reading. And so we coupled the Tune-Up Tuesdays with ball handling skills in the hallway. So they did dribbling back and forth, they switch hands, and then some groups were in the gym shooting hoops. So that we're tying that connection between the two together so that it's important. And I swear, after Christmas, I smelled some of those chocolate Santas and candy canes being burnt off in the hallway. So that was a good thing. Walk Fitness Club, this is solely based on our strong parent group. We have parents that come in. Mrs. Dorsey leads, Mrs. Methner, Mrs. Coral assists. Students volunteer if they want to come. It's every Thursday at lunch recess. We have a lot of students participate in this, and it's the whole team thing. We're all together, exercise is good, what are we going to do today? And for those that like to earn things for what they do, we have tokens for their mileage, and for every 5 miles they earn glow-in-the-dark feet, and big feet for every multiple of 10. So there's the math academic connection too, and their feet are, their names are posted on the Mileage Walk Club feet in the cafeteria. Various activities, they walk, they jog, they run, they jump rope, they do a lot of cooperative games, and it's a lot of fun. They do a great job with that. Other fitness programs and activities, the 2 national programs we do, Walk to School and ACES Day. Walk to School, obviously we don't have sidewalks out there, so we parade around the playground and we rock and weave around the equipment, and sometimes we go up and sometimes we come down, and the kids have a lot of fun. ACES Day, same thing. Children all around the nation are exercising on these days, certain times. All children exercising simultaneously. That day we do stations to music, and once again, we're all together. Everybody's telling each other, whatever level you are, keep doing it. You will be successful. Jingle Bell Walk, March's Reading Month. Those are a couple other things we do. We ended March's Reading Month with K8 or K5 teams. So each team consisted of kindergartners, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and they celebrated their successes of reading with dribbling, ball handling skills, relay races, shooting hoops, and 5th graders were team captains. And just the cooperation, the teamwork, all the kids giving each other love and telling them they could do it no matter, if they missed the hoop or they missed the ball. It's just great to be together. It's great to be at Palms. Halloween parades, of course, we had a few costumes that day. That was fun as they wiggle and jiggle off their Halloween excitement. Jump Rope for Heart, not only is the fitness going for activity and to help them academically, but they also support causes for heart health. And the fund run, they support, they walk and they earn funds to fund school programs and academic programs. And field day, who doesn't love field day? The end of the year culmination of all their skill development and their improvement and how to be a spectator, how to work cooperatively, and that's just a fun one. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this one because I probably would be run out of Palms Elementary tomorrow, recess. Can you imagine? Recess we can get on there? Holy smoke. So it's the day that they go outside, they organize, they have fun, and most of them will say that that's their most important thing of the day. And if you ask them what their special subject is, they'll say phys ed or recess, and maybe lunch sometimes too. So thank you for having us here and being able to talk about all these things. If you would like some more research, I have a lot of research from, especially from the Center for Disease Control, on how important it is to keep kids active. And if we want them to be successful, we need to provide programs and activities that help them be successful. Mr. D?
I just wanted to share one real quick slide. Each year, we do fill out a grant to the St. Clair County Medical Society and Blue Water YMCA with all of these programs intertwined, I guess you can call it. We've received over $1,500 rewarded just to Palms Elementary in the last 2 years while I've been there. And we use this money to purchase books for our students that are not reading at grade level. We send these books home in backpacks with these students. Just a little bit of information, but we have 45 students in the program last summer, and I did some data calculations, and from last year, June, and from this October, most maintained their reading levels, and we hate using the word summer slippage, but it does happen at times, especially with students that don't have those materials in their hands. And when we get those materials in those students' hands, we have much more success rate for the reading levels, and a lot of them maintained or even grew some reading levels when we tested them in October, which is a great thing. So yes, I do have a bullet point down there. I do offer a reward. So pizza parties are always great. Really quick, we do perform Achieve, Lead, Master, Succeed. I have mentioned that the last 3 years. I've done the presentation up here. That is a huge part of what we do at Palms. Every student knows it. The community knows it. We've got surveys out, and it's 100%. So it is something that we do all the time, and we integrate everything from physical education to Tune-Up Tuesdays to discipline to everything. So really quick, last, I'd like to bring Sammy up here to just talk about how, we just asked her to talk for a minute about how fitness impacts her cultural learning. So Sammy.
Still, with a stool, I'm way too short. Walk-in Fitness Club is one of my favorite things to do. At Palms, we earn special tokens that we can wear on a chain every 5 miles we move. Glow in the dark. When I earn those tokens, I feel as if I've accomplished something great, as if I haven't already. I feel as if Palms is the best school ever, and I've accomplished so much more while spending more than half my life there, literally. We also have giant, colorful footprints in the wall of the cafeteria, and when I'll get my name on one of those footprints, I'll feel kind of famous. I think participating in Walk-in Fitness Club helps me learn and makes me feel important. First thing on Tuesday mornings, after the Pledge of Allegiance, of course, our whole school exercises together. It's called Tune-Up Tuesdays. And Miss Cornish, the best PE teacher ever, leads us with music through awesome activities and teaches us new skills. I didn't even know how to hula hoop until I met her. Lastly, each time I go to gym after recess, I feel myself getting faster and stronger from all those activities. Overall, I just love Palms and all the fitness activities we do. I honestly feel like it's a huge part of my successes. Now that's how I perform, achieve, lead, master, and succeed.
We'll be reading
end it with that. Any questions?
Thank you. That's awesome.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Great program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sammy.
Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Motion in order for approval of minutes, regular Board of Education meeting December 14th, 2015, special Board of Education meeting January 5th, 2016, approval of payment of bills, financial statement, schedule of investments, approved Pat Buck's position to Marine City Scholarship Foundation Board of Directors for 4 years.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kennigbauer. Support by Mrs. Murphy. Comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. B. Buck, for serving on that board.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Recognition of persons wishing to address the board. Mr. Eric Languski.
Good evening, Mr. Bewer, Dr. Skalka, members of the board. I've never been so nervous to follow a youngster like that before. Oh my gosh, knock out of the park, Sam. You did a nice job with it. Jeez. Don Migalowski and Mrs. Cornish are going to be hard enough, but my goodness, that was a very nice job. I'm here today on behalf of the Detroit. That's still on my mind. On the East John Education Association. I'm the president, and on behalf of our association representing the teachers, we'd like to recognize the school board members for School Board Appreciation Month. We appreciate all that you do. It's, as I can't even fathom the amount of time you put into it, the worry you put into it, the thoughts, the conversations, the phone calls, all the time and effort you put into it. As I've said many times, I was exposed to this for 24 years, as my dad was a school board member my whole life, it seemed like. And the effort put into it is not unappreciated. Even though it's School Board Appreciation Month, I sincerely want you to know that we do appreciate what you put into the job. It isn't easy. Like I say, just the stress alone, that especially the last few years have not been easy. And the time you put into it and the worry you go through is more than it should be. But we appreciate what you do. You're doing the best you can. We fully believe that, and I speak from the heart when I say that. And our members believe that also. We've always worked together well. We hope we continue to do that. But Mrs. Murphy, we thank you very much. Mrs. Frank, thank you on behalf of all of us. Mrs. Vbuck, thank you very much. Mr. Koenig-Bauer, we appreciate all your time and effort. President Bewer, thank you very much. Mr. Richley, thank you. Mr. Distelrath, we appreciate it. And on behalf of the ECEA, we've brought up some cards we want to present to you. They're signed by our board of directors. In the past, we've given you books to put in the library in your honor. We've changed it up this year, and I researched it. There's a little token of our appreciation inside the card, and it's completely legal, okay? So we can do that. Okay? So if you're worried about that, it is not. It's just simply a way of us saying thank you. And one more thing I'd like to mention while I'm here is that you do forego your stipend for being on the board. I would really like you to consider not doing that. I mean, you shouldn't have to pay more than you do to serve the communities that you do than you already put into the job. So if you reinstate those stipends, I think that'd be more than appropriate, and you should do that. All the extra meetings, the mileage, the time, the phone calls can't be compensated, but you should at least not have to pay for your gas to get here. So may I approach?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you.
Do I get the purple one? No? Oh, jeez. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Mr. Bewer? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And so, one last time, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have no idea how much we appreciate you.
Yes.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Skalka.
President Beaver, members of the board, Thank you so much. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Public Act 269 and Senate Bill 571. But I want to do that in the context of our facility and tech bond proposal. We need to start this conversation up again after a long holiday and give you some information regarding the proposal. Last week, we received official notification from the Michigan Department of Treasury that was authorizing our preliminary qualification of the district's bond application. With that approval, then tonight, you will approve a resolution calling for the election, which is the official legal term, and that approves the ballot language and authorizes the administration to send the ballot language to our local election coordinators so that they can start getting ready and prepared with printing ballots and everything they need to do for the election. Tonight I'm going to speak briefly, and I truly mean briefly. This is one of only 10 slides tonight, so we're going to be zipping through this for you. But I want to, again, recall for everyone the reasons for the ballot proposal, the purpose, the cost, and, again, the impact of Public Act 269 for informing voters. Again, if I go back real quickly, reasons. The need is real. We have infrastructure that we have discussed that is failing, inefficient, outdated, and most importantly, and I think one of the things that we need to state very clearly is even if we wanted to repair some of our infrastructure, some of our equipment, it is impossible to do so because of planned obsolescence. Parts are no longer available to be replacing them. Systems are integrated, therefore the failure of one jeopardizes others. We always want to remind folks that bond monies stay in the district, and I make that differentiation because when you pay your 6 mills for your non-homestead, your property tax for school purposes, you pay that to the state, to Lansing, who then redistributes it across the state depending upon enrollment in the different districts. That's that 6 mills. It's paid to the state. But bond monies stays here in the district. All bond money stays here in the district. It can only be used for the stated ballot purpose, excuse me. Again, always want to make sure that folks understand that what they're voting for cannot be redirected to other purposes other than what is clearly stated in the ballot language. And we can purchase equipment, but we cannot lease equipment with bond funds. Sinking money also stays in the district, sinking fund money. But the important distinction here is that with sinking fund money, that truly is for repairs and renovations and cannot be used to purchase or lease any kind of equipment such as technology, copiers, furniture, etc. We have discussed at length how this proposal will impact the current general fund in providing general fund relief, and I have a slide to show a very particular and real example of that. And students would benefit, and how? From safer facilities. Safety and security is a major tenet of this proposal. Current instructional technology will be implemented, refreshed in all of our classrooms. And again, I called it reliable, comfortable, and consistent learning environments. But our students and staff, those classrooms are their places of work. And we all know that in our places of work, we don't want it to be, too cold, too warm, never know on any given day, because that impacts our ability to do our job. And so a reliable, comfort, and consistent learning environments do contribute to academic achievement. Purpose. 5 very clear items that describe the purpose of this bond. 1, we want to improve student safety and school security. And student safety includes everything from safe equipment, safe environments. The tennis courts at both buildings, at both high schools, they are cracking, they are frost heaving from many winters, and they need to be replaced. Otherwise, we just can't use them. And student athletes and or the community using them it is potentially unsafe. School security, we're looking at the entrances to buildings and doors to ensure, again, that when our students and staff are in school, they are safe. Upgrading instructional technology and technological infrastructures, putting up-to-date teaching and learning tools in the hands of our teachers and students who use them on a daily basis. upgrade building infrastructure to improve efficiencies and reduce operating costs. Think about if you have replaced a water heater in your home, or maybe your furnace, or maybe a central air. Just think about, if you would, what your utility bill maybe looks like before and after doing that. You will receive savings and benefits to that. Improving co-curricular facilities to support the arts and athletics, and one that our PTAs told me ought to be number 2 and not left for the end, and that is to improve bus and parent drop-off and pickup loops, parking areas, and site lighting. Every project has been reviewed and approved by the Michigan Department of Treasury. So let's talk a little bit very quickly. I used this example before. I'd like to use it again, though, just again to refresh yourselves, our audience, and those watching on Channel 6. This is this issue of updating infrastructure, specifically equipment. On the left is the pool heater at Marine City High School, or at least it was up until October. You can see the size. You know, we know in technology things get smaller, they get more efficient. All right? But you can see the size of the old green one. And what was interesting there was that in order to, when we ran that pool heater, especially in this in September and or May and June, because the ambient temperature, the boilers weren't on. So if the boilers weren't on, the building wasn't warm. The air temperature was such so that the pool heater had to run a little bit more to get the pool temperature water up. As the pool heater ran, it caused overheating in the nearby classrooms, to the point where we ended up having to move classrooms for periods of time, so that again those students and teachers could learn in a comfortable environment. October 2015, that pool heater eventually just went south to the point we could not wait any longer. And I want to point out the 3 things that are in red there. One, we didn't just go out and buy a new pool heater. We don't go down the road or try to do business with one particular vendor. 3 competitive bids, and we awarded the work to the lowest bidder. That is important to state because every project in this bond issue will be bid, and it will come before you for approval for either the lowest bidder or a recommendation as to why the lowest bidder isn't being recommended. Okay? But we will be, and we have been, good stewards of whether it be the general fund, the sinking fund, or any bond monies. Okay? Secondly, that return on investment. Because the newer pool heater works at a much more efficient rate, we have an estimated 2-year return on investment with this pool heater because we will be using that much less electricity and utilities to run it. We'll see it pay for itself in a short amount of time. Think about doing that with the majority of our mechanical systems across the entire district. That will, as the last few words in red say, will provide great savings to the general fund. Another key purpose of our ballot proposal is instructional technology. And in 2009, this community stepped up, as it always does, to support our teachers and students with a tech bond in 2009 that was passed. And that put up-to-date technology at that time in our students and teachers' classrooms that they use on a daily basis. Interestingly, though, a year later, tablet technology was, if not invented, was brought to the mass market, and tablet computers such as the iPad was introduced. And as a result, over the last 6 or 7 years, as technology again has become more and more handheld, more and more portable, less laptop, less towers, we now have between 800 and 900 personally owned devices that log onto the district network every single day. We want to make sure that our network is robust so that can grow, and so that we have the capacity for every one of our students to, if they are so able, to log on with their own personal device. So rather than 800 to 900, we'd be talking about maybe 3,800 to 3,900 students to have that ability to do that. Okay. This bond proposal it's extremely important to say this, and we're going to hit the financial aspect of this decision as well, but it takes a long-range view, in providing classroom technology, in that not only are we looking to update the classroom technology for this coming school year, the 16-17 year, to replace technology that is now going on, well, what is 7 years old, all right? But by issuing the bonds that are part of this proposal in 2 series, we can issue another series of bonds 6 to 8 years down the road that will provide up-to-date technology again, and we will get we will avoid this tablet example, the iPad example, so that students and teachers have access to instructional technology that has not yet even been invented. And it also, I think, provides a very, very important guarantee. And that guarantee is that incoming kindergartners, students who might not have even started in our district yet, who will be coming to kindergarten roundup here in March, okay? They will use updated, brand new, state-of-the-art technology throughout their entire elementary school. And because of doing this in 2 series, and because of doing this in your foresight to plan the bond as you have, they will again have that opportunity as secondary students through graduation as they compete for college admissions, scholarships, and job opportunities. So what about cost? I said I was going to talk briefly and remind folks about cost. 20-year millage, 1.45 was the initial year's millage, an average of 2.12, and we've talked about this at a previous meeting, I think back in December, and that cost was $72.50 for a $100,000 home. In working with Treasury, we've been able to do even better. We've been able to reduce the millage for our taxpayers because, again, by issuing the bonds in 2 series, we're not borrowing all that money at the start, where, again, if you remember, we have to expend 80% within the first 3 years, but we also would be paying interest on all of that money from the very beginning. By doing it in 2 series, we're able to defray some of the monies that we will be generating through the bond, which in turn, in working with Treasury in the month of December, helped us to reduce the millage while maintaining the same amount of monies generated, reduce the millage, reduce the impact on our taxpayers to 1.1 mils in the first year and 2.2 over the course of the bond. So again, for a $100,000 home, that's a projected sales price. You know that you pay approximately half of that as taxable value. So 1.1 mils the first year on a $50,000 taxable value is $55 or less than $4.50 a month. But I think what's also extremely important to show, this graph is, we've used a number of times, and I won't talk about it other than to point out this very, very important fact. We are at 3.04 mils right now of bonded indebtedness. Bonded indebtedness speaks to our bonds that are paying off the PAC, that are paying off that tech bond, and the bus bond that was passed in November of, I believe, 14. Okay, 3.04, we add the 1.1 so that the new millage goes to 4.14. Now, this column all the way down won't be a pure addition. There are sometimes like 304 and 122 is not 414. It stays with 414 because of an estimated increase in property values generates at a lower mills the same amount of monies. So that's why it stays at 414. But what's extremely important to understand is that that first year of $55 or approximately less than $5 a month, well, when we get out to 2021-22, which is not that far away, folks, in reality. I mean, 15 of the 20 years of this bond, taxes will be less than they are today. Don't want to let that one pass without saying it a second time. You know, the final 15 years of this bond, 15 of the 20 years of this bond, taxes will be less than they are today for bonded indebtedness. And that is because some of our other indebtedness falls off. We finish and we pay for those. All right, what about Public Act 269, or what was also referred to as 571? This is the campaign finance legislation that was passed the day before the legislature recessed for Christmas break. You may have heard Things like it started as a 12-page bill, and it was passed at approximately 50 pages, that the Senate moved this through by suspending. What they did was they suspended their own rules so as to not hold public hearings on this and to move it through that night. And it was passed, and the governor signed it in January. What it does, for our purposes, is it adds a section to what was already part of the campaign finance law, but it adds this section that says that school districts and other public bodies prohibited from using public funds and resources to reference a ballot question in mass communications to voters 60 days immediately preceding an election, what is being referred to as a 60-day gag order. Okay? Specifically, it prohibits a public body during that 60-day period from using public funds and resources to communicate. And I'm going to highlight these because this is the quote in the law: radio, television, mass mailing, and pre-recorded telephone messages, if that communication references a local ballot question and is targeted to the relative electorate. So we know, or we remember, that as a school district, we were always able to, right up until the time of the election, give the voters information about our ballot proposal. In fact, I think we have a duty and an obligation to explain to the community what the ballot issue is intended to do. This law prevents us from meeting that duty and obligation for the 60 days prior to the election date, all right? In some ways. And what I mean by some ways is by means of radio, television, mass mailing, and pre-recorded telephone messages. So it still doesn't mean that you can still have an election committee. That election committee can still do this work as if it's an independent committee. They can even advocate for a yes vote, whereas the school never could advocate for the yes. We could only provide facts. All right? But I participated in a webinar with the Michigan Association of School Administrators, the Superintendent's Association. And right now, Troon and other firms are trying to advise school districts on how they can meet the requirements of this law. And one of the things that they have said is that because they are is specific to radio, television, mass mailing, and pre-recorded telephone messages. So in other words, we can't use the robocall on the day before the election to say, please vote. We never could say, please vote yes, but at least we could use the robocall that folks get, like I got today telling me there was a half day tomorrow. We could at least say, please vote. We can't use that in any way. Mass mailing refers to any mailing of 500 or more pieces. But what it doesn't say there is it does not say anything about our website. So at least at this point in time, we believe that leaving up factual information on the website is permissible. Okay? And so we will look for any and all of those opportunities to continue to inform our public and to do what we believe is our duty and obligation to inform them in what ought to be a transparent process of voting. You should know that the 60-day gag order for our particular May election begins Friday, March 4th. You should also know that in the legislature right now, there are 3 pending bills. One is Senate Bill 703. Another is House Bill 5721. Those look to strike the language altogether and put things back to the way it was. And another is House Bill 5219, which goes in the other direction and looks to expand restrictions, place more restrictions, because they said, oh, look, we only gave them 4, let's give them some more. So we'll see what ends up happening with all of that. The other thing to understand is that there is some consideration by different groups throughout the state, because this isn't just a school issue, this is library millages, city and county and state, city, county, and township issues of potentially filing for an injunction to let the courts decide whether this is legal or not and put their old rules back in place while an injunction is in place. If an injunction does come to pass, we'll certainly let you know. But this is what we're working with right now. So what about that bond proposal information? Tomorrow, we are ready to go with the frequently asked questions and the project list. We do not want to post that until such time as you officially call for the election. You will do that tonight as part of your resolution, and we will have that on the district website under a button that's referred, that is school election info. We will have display boards and fact sheets in the lobbies and in encounters of all the offices of each of our buildings until such time as we are told that it may or may not be illegal of the 60 days. We will push that until we find out if that constitutes a display board is not radio, TV, mass mailing, or a robocall. Right? That's why yard signs are still acceptable and things like that. We believe that a display board that indicates what's going to happen with the particular projects at each of the particular schools would be permissible. And currently working with Paul Dingeman in Channel 6 to do a campaign video. Obviously, a video, though, speaks to television, so we would look to use it for as long as we can and then hand it off potentially to other organizations that are helping support us in getting the word out to our voters. So again, the campaign, the gag order begins. Ballot proposal information can also be distributed by non-public bodies. And when we talk about a display board and fact sheet, we're talking about something that looks similar to this. This one is made up specifically for Marine City High School, but would be made up for each of our schools, in which general information is provided around the exterior of the display or the handout, and specific to that building here in the middle, and we're working on getting those done here within the next week and a half, so that they can get into buildings, because I know things like daddy-daughter dances are coming and other events that bring many folks into our buildings. I think the other thing to remember, again, though we can't do a mass mailing, we can certainly do handouts. So if we were to be at an event and we had factual information, whether it be board members, staff members, as long as the staff member was there on their own time. It couldn't be if Mr. Ming was working a basketball game in his capacity as the athletic director, he could not do that. But if a staff member was there to watch the basketball game and wanted to hand out information, handouts, again, are okay because it's factual information that is not phone, radio, mass mailing, we're not mailing, and is not a robocall.
Does that include us too?
That includes you as well. Yep. So we will look to continue to do all the things we normally do, just under the making sure that we are always mindful of the new law. Okay. Thank you very much. Questions? Yeah.
When you mentioned yard signs, you're not talking about putting them on school property,
No.
correct? Okay,
No.
I was just
No.
making sure.
No.
But the, I forgot what else I was gonna say.
That's no problem.
I have a question.
Yes.
These bills that are being looked at right now, the 703 and the 5721, do we have any idea when we can anticipate any action on those?
No, we don't. And you know that right now with the Detroit public school situation, the Flint water situation, you've got a lot of stuff that's going on the back burner. My suggestion is I will get more information on who is sponsoring these bills for you, and that I will send that information to you in case you want to contact them.
Okay.
Question. In
Yes.
this Citizens Election Committee,
Correct.
can the board participate in what they are doing? Handouts, anything like that?
Absolutely, you may do so. Again, we always want to be mindful that if you attend any meetings, that we no more than 3 attend at any one time, so as not to make it a public meeting, you know, but absolutely you can participate.
Can we speak?
You can speak. You can always, you always have the opportunity on your own time and on your own dime. That's kind of been the phrase lately, on your own time, on your own dime, to do anything you want, because you still have your First Amendment rights. What changes is And then one of the reasons I went through what I did with regard to, again, reminding folks of the purpose of the proposal here tonight is because what is at issue and what is unclear is whether or not you can discuss it even factually after that March 6th date as a board, at a board meeting. Because, yeah.
So this Citizens Election Committee, has that already been formed?
It has not. We are
Okay.
looking for recommendations, as I indicated in the update. We're looking for two recommendations for two co-chairs, who then in turn we will rely on them working with us to form that group.
And then from there, we're going to put down come up with a timeline as far as which PTO meetings are going to be attended.
I've already started. I've already started being invited to PTOs. I've spoken to one. I've got another one on the docket.
Okay.
Those kind of things. Yep. We'll try to get to. Well, a lot of what we would have done more leading up to the election, we'll probably be doing now 60 days in advance, with the hope that it sticks.
Which leaves, if I read the calendar right, about 40 days out of 100.
Yeah.
So we're close.
Yeah.
Are we going to have any materials prepared for the Pink Halo this weekend?
This right here would be perfect. One for.
Well, or
Yes.
maybe,
We will get something. We will certainly get something prepared. Yep, that we can hand out. Yes, sir.
The thing that you mentioned about school board members, like the moment that we walk out the door, we're allowed to say whatever we want, and that's one of the things I was gonna say, but also, Dan Lowers, our state representative, I talked with him about, just today, about 3 of the bills that they're working on both sides, and he seems to think nothing is gonna happen, it's just gonna stay the same, but, so.
That's understandable.
can we set up a meeting, maybe a couple of us, to go over some of the information on these before
anytime.
they're finalized?
Yes. Anytime you want, give me a call. Anytime.
Question,
Thank you.
just one more question on
Yeah.
on the gag
Yes.
order.
I'm sorry. Yes.
The mass mailings, does that refer to email as well?
Yes.
as all?
Yeah. It is look at email. With respect to the meeting, Secretary Frank, are you talking about like a one-on-one or a couple of you?
Couple of
As opposed to, again.
Well, I mean, we're sitting here looking at this just, at a glance and finding some things that maybe, should be questioned or looked at a little bit further before it goes to final print.
Sure.
So, and I guess if you're going to be out of the district Thursday and Friday, then
Thursday
we
and
probably need to do this first thing tomorrow. So we can get with you after
After
this
the meeting.
evening's meeting and set up a
Okay.
time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is M-STEP results. Catherine Woolman.
Well, this is everyone's most favorite subject, testing. So I am here to review with you the student results, the student achievement results from last spring. So this data is almost a year old, but we just received it, like Dr. Skulka said, the Friday before Christmas. So this is the earliest that I could present it to you. This is a summary of the information that is going home to our parents across the district on Thursday afternoon. So M-STEP is the new MEEP, essentially. Last spring, the Michigan Department of Education rolled out new assessment tools for grades 3 through 8, as well as some tools for our juniors. The new assessment assessed our students based on the new Michigan standards that they had adopted previously, based on what the nation had adopted. Districts had the option of testing their students online or with paper pencil. East China is proud to be one of the first districts in St. Clair County to test all of their students online. There were quite a few districts in St. Clair County that opted for the paper pencil option. We are lucky that we have the technology to allow our students to test online, and we'll be able to do that again this year, and we're actually expanding it to incorporate some of our other populations and additional tests. So we're very proud of that, the amount of work that our technology department put into making sure that everything worked. And not just for a matter of days. This testing went on for 2 months across the district in literally every single building. So a huge kudos to our tech department for their efforts. So, because this is a first-year test, there's not going to be a lot of comparison data for me to show you. So I'm going to show you what our results from last year look like. The test, as it was given last year, is considered a baseline. So as you can see, These would be our ELA results for 3rd through 8th grade, and our students did very well. These graphs are much higher than they looked even with the MEP of old. And so it's a matter of starting to break that down and say, okay, did the students like taking the test on the computer? Was this test more applicable to what they learned in the classroom? And starting to ask some questions to determine essentially why did we do so well and how do we continue to improve? The district mathematic results, these are also better than the MEP results of old. They follow a similar trend line in that we see our middle school students, as the test gets more difficult, the results dip a little bit, but our middle school students continued to do better than they had on the test of old. Our district science results, we had some of the top science results in all of the county, both at the elementary and middle school level. We were very proud of that. The science test was not that drastically different. So what that told us is on an almost identical assessment, our students showed great improvement. The grade level that they were assessed did change, and we think that that is part of why we were able to see an improvement in the percent proficient. The social studies results, again, remained fairly similar. That test was also similar to the MEP of old in terms of what the students were asked to do. So I can't give you year-to-year comparison, but I can compare us to the other districts in the county as well as to the state of Michigan results. The one thing I do want to caution is that other districts in the county, quite a few, gave this test using paper and pencil. And so we did excellent in every single category, outscoring the county average as well as the state average, and that is with our students having the added challenge of testing online for the first time. Now, we know our students love that environment, but our students primarily are using phones and tablets, and that was not an option for them. So they all tested on either desktop or laptop computers because the test was not compatible with iPads or the tablets we have in the district. So we did not use those for this test at all. So even though, yes, our kids love the online environment, it was a little bit of a different machine than they probably would have chosen.
Catherine, how can you get those to be compatible? Or
we can't. The state of Michigan is working on it. They thought that it would be ready to go, and the districts that did try it had a lot of glitches. So we opted not to do that, and that will be the case again this year. There's a lot of changes even this spring to the test, and until we see those changes in action, it's too great of a risk to have our students sit down and then have the test malfunction for them. It's a lot of time that they spent taking these tests. We want to make it as comfortable and as user-friendly as possible for our students.
Right. So we did have enough technology, because I know at times.
And I will say we shared and borrowed. There were days where you could see Jerry loading up the laptop carts from the high school when they were done testing and schlepping them to the elementary schools and vice versa. You know, on the campus between Marine City Middle and Riverview and Marine City High, we shared labs and laptops just because we could, because it's a lot of testing. Some grade levels had up to 8 hours of testing that was almost all on the computer. So when you spread that out over a couple of weeks, it's a lot of time.
So is this test longer than what the MEP?
Last year's test was significantly longer than the previous MEP. This spring, so the testing that we're going to begin in April after spring break will be shorter. MDE has eliminated the classroom activities, so there was a whole day of in-class activities that the students would do before they went and took their English test and their math test. And those tests, English had 3 days on the computer, math had at least 3 days on the computer. So they've eliminated some of that for our students. The 2 grades that will continue to be the longest will be 5th and 8th grade. Those 2 groups of students will have longer tests than the other grades because they have some additional performance tasks in English that the other grades do not have. So, but as our building principals set their schedules, we'll be very cognizant of that and really try to space those days out so our students don't have test fatigue.
So is there like a test window then in April, like, you know, you have to have it done within 2 weeks or whatever they had said previously?
Yes, so testing will go on the week after spring break all the way through to the last week in May.
Ooh.
And there are windows till the end of May, and it did last year as well. I will say as a district, we really tried to structure those tests so we could be done by the 3rd week in May, because as you know, it starts to get hot. Kids want to be outside, and they really don't want to sit in the computer lab, unless those are the only air-conditioned rooms in the building. Then they do want to be there.
Right.
So yeah, it's touch and go there for a little bit, but we did try to structure it so that that last week was makeup only for the students' sake. So each grade level has a 3-week window. We usually try to test in the first 2 weeks of that window so that the 3rd week can be makeup.
Okay. Thanks, Catherine.
No problem. So we are working, like I said, we're analyzing the data from last year, making sure that our curriculum is correctly aligned. We're making sure that our students are prepared to test online. When you're putting younger students on a laptop, you've got to make sure, do they know their login? Making sure that they know some of the basic keyboard functions. How do they, are they choosing to use the headphones? What are the different options available to them, and do they know how to use them so that doesn't hinder them showing what they know? And we'll begin monitoring our growth targets after the testing this spring, because this year's test is going to look different yet again. It's going to be difficult to compare the 2 years. So we'll start over again this year. And again this year, for the first time, they are really pushing for everyone to test online. So the comparison data will be a little bit more valid than it is from last year. So again, the changes for the spring: reduction in time that students will spend testing. They eliminated classroom activities. They did, however, add computer adaptive items. So as a student is successful with a question, they'll get a harder question. As a student begins to struggle with a question, they might get an easier question. They had promised that would be part of last year's test, and they were unable to roll that out on time. So we're eagerly waiting to see what that will look like this year.
Is that in all the areas?
It will be in the English and math.
English and math, okay.
And so we are going to continue to work on improving and providing the best possible learning environment for our students. Any questions tonight? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Catherine.
Hang on, one question.
Yes, sir.
It's thank you for the new data and against the county and the state. In the past, the MEP, I believe we had targeted other districts as benchmarks. Will we be seeing that in the future? Will that be part of the presentation next time we see it?
I have a two-part answer for you on that. And I chose not to do that tonight for two reasons. One, I could not verify how those districts tested. Did they test paper pencil? Did they test online? Did they do a mix of both? So once we know for sure that everyone in the state is testing online, we will give you comparison districts. We also are looking to find districts that are more comparable in terms of population. So initially those districts were selected based on their size, but size and population do not equate to the same thing. And so we want to find districts who have population makeup similar to ours and then compare ourselves to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Catherine, you might have already answered this. Are they going to do paper pencil? Not in our district, but is the state still offering paper pencil or computer, or is the state going to force everybody to do computers?
They are trying to push everyone to do computers, but there is already at least one district in St. Clair County that has said there's no way we will not be able to do it, especially within the given window. So they are seeking permission to do paper and pencil.
Okay.
So we are expanding our online testing this year to include the My Access testing, which is our testing for our special education population, as well as our WIDA testing, which is for our English language learners. So not only were we successful with MSTEP, but we're expanding to 2 other assessments as well. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is information discussion items. First one is internet bid.
Yeah, I'd like to bring Technology Director Craig Headley forward to speak very briefly so that he can provide you information for what will be an action item next month.
Just no surprises for next month. Every 2 years we bid out our internet access as a district. So we just want to let you know that that's going to be coming. Right now we have to follow, and again you'll get more information next month, but have to follow our E-rate USF rules. We had to have the bid out for 28 days. That bid is now closed. We are in the process of evaluating, so we'll bring you information next month. Okay?
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Craig, who has our bid now, or who do we contract with now?
Currently St. Clair County RESA.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
ECEC sale.
This last week, President Beaver, yourself, Secretary Frank, and I met with Mr. Robert Wolfson, who is the gentleman. We have a purchase agreement for the ECEC building. We met with him specifically because he had earlier invoked the 90-day extension, which in that agreement, which brings that agreement through the end of this month. We met to discuss whether or not to move forward with that agreement or a new one, and I don't know if you want me to speak to it or if the two of you would like to share with the board.
Mrs. Frank?
Oh, I don't care. You can speak to it.
It was a very positive meeting. He is as interested as ever in pursuing the building as renovated space for loft living. He's proceeding, seeking a new source of funding, to which he's had some very positive feedback. And so we talked about discussing it here tonight and then putting an action item on your February agenda enter into a new purchase agreement, because in all four of our minds, we wouldn't extend the existing one again. It has expired. It's time to do a new one. Very, very similar terms, price the same, a little bit of reworking on some other language, including more specific language regarding a right of first refusal on the Eddy property.
Yep. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. If the board is still interested in pursuing, the sale of the property to this gentleman, then I think, were we going to draft up the purchase agreement instead of using his
Correct.
standard form?
I've been in contact with District Legal Counsel. They are putting together a new draft for me to share with him that we'll look to try to bounce back and forth, reach agreement to bring to you at your February meeting.
Okay. I like to be involved in looking at those contracts.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The difference in funding that he is interested in went from MISTA monies that they will not allow because the building isn't close enough to the downtown district. In order for him to qualify for that, he'd have to put shopping in that complex. So they would mandate that. So he's looking at historic dollars because of the age of the building.
Yeah, tax credits.
And tax credits. So that's where the switch went from one funding source to another. And he sounds very positive about it. And he wants to move into another purchase agreement. So we felt comfortable with what he was telling us and the excitement that he had, and thought we want to move forward and let the board make that decision.
Does a new purchase agreement then allow for the same extensions kind of idea that he had this time around?
Well, I think we talked about a 6-month
Yeah.
opportunity for him to bring closure, and without any 90-day extensions. It's a 6-month.
6 months.
6 month we can get this done, or we need to move on.
Yeah, he still needs an opportunity to do his due diligence, and now that he's pursuing a different line of financing, he's liable to run into different obstacles, so, yeah, we'll give him some time.
And then we're going to take that not from the expiration of the contract, but from
No.
the approval of the new one.
Right.
With the
so
approval in February.
February.
6 months from February, yep.
All right, the next item on the agenda is our board action items. It is recommended per administration recommendation, the board adopt the 2015-16 general fund cafeteria latchkey budget at the function level as revised and presented at its December 14th, 2015 meeting. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Frank. Support. Mrs. Murphy, comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
So moved, 6-1. Item B, recommended action per administration recommendation, the board approve the MSBO bid Build-A-Bus for the capital bus purchases in the amount of $439,883 as presented and discussed at the December 14th, 2015 Board of Education regular meeting. Motion needed.
So moved.
Moved. Support. Support by Mrs. Biebuck. Comments, questions?
I think Dr. Skolka commented on this when we discussed it earlier, that when we take delivery on these buses, the warranty will be delayed until...
We will not put them in service until the next school year begins, so as to forestall the start of that warranty.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Skolka for getting us the absolutely outrageous bid for putting seatbelts into a school bus. It about tripled the cost of a bus. It was just unbelievable. Even if you wanted to present the safety aspect of it, economics says you can't. It's just crazy.
It's ridiculous.
With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So moved. Recommended action per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves a resolution calling for election and approval of ballot language as presented and read.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
I'll read the information. Whereas, in the opinion of this board, it is necessary and expedient to ask voters whether to approve a bond project consisting of acquiring and installing instructional technology equipment for building school buildings, remodeling, furnishing, and refurnishing, equipping and re-equipment, and installing security measures for school buildings, erecting, furnishing, and equipping additions to school buildings, remodeling, equipping, developing and improving athletic fields, athletic facilities and playgrounds, and developing and improving driveways, parking areas, and sites. This board estimates the necessary cost of the project to be $49,372,701. It will be necessary for the district to borrow the sum of $49,250,000 and issue the bonds of the district. Therefore, the remaining funds to be derived from the investment of the bond proceeds. This board intends to submit a proposition at a special election to be held on Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016. On or before 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 9th, the board shall certify any ballot proposition to be submitted to the voters at such election to the election coordinator and coordinators designated to conduct elections within the district, the election coordinator. Now therefore be it resolved that a special election of the board of the school electors of the district be called and held on Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016. The proposition to be voted on at the special election shall be stated on the ballots and substantially the form as set forth in Exhibit A. The election coordinator is requested to utilize the Times Herald, a newspaper published or general circulation within the district for publication of notices in accordance with the election laws. Utilize ballot proposition summary information as prepared by legal counsel in the forms of the notices of last day of registration and election in the form as set forth in Exhibit B attached hereto. Provide a proof copy of the ballot to the district and its legal counsel in sufficient time to allow the ballot to be proofread prior to printing. The board estimates the period of usefulness of the improvements for which bond of the district in the amount of $49,250,000, $49,250,000 are to be issued to be not used less than 23 years. The secretary of this board is hereby authorized and directed to file a copy of this resolution with the election coordinator and within any election clerk or clerks designated to conduct elections within the district by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 9, 2016. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be and the same are hereby rescinded.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
So Exhibit B, is that what's going to actually be on the ballot?
Correct. Correct, that's the approved ballot language.
So we're saying building and site purposes, we're not saying technology purposes? I mean, I don't,
Is that I thought that was the language there.
Oh, no.
You're talking about this?
Go on to the next one.
I'm on page 53.
Oh, Exhibit B is not the ballot language.
Page 52. Oh,
Page 52, Exhibit A is the ballot language.
But, oh, the proposition,
Exhibit B is merely a summary.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
This whole thing's on the ballot?
Must be. Yeah, so Exhibit A, that whole, this entire thing would be the ballot
Be
proposal.
on the ballot.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
That's better than
Mm-hmm.
being,
The part from acquiring to the question mark, correct?
I believe all of it, yes.
This too?
I believe all of it appears on the
imagine all of
ballot
it.
Yeah.
for informational purposes.
yeah.
It says this,
Yes,
okay.
and that is also on the ballot for informational purposes, so folks know
Okay.
more detail of what they're voting for.
Okay. Now, the only question that I had was, and maybe I missed it here, I don't think it's on here, but where it says $2.92 is the highest that it will be, as in for new, or actually, I don't know if that's,
Well, you're looking at a table of millage rates, not dollars and cents. Okay.
well, but that's per $1,000 taxable value, that's.
I understand, but you're looking at a table of millage rates,
Correct.
and what is your question?
Is that's not going to appear on the ballot, whereas the lowest that they'll pay in the average will?
The lowest and the average is what is required to be on the ballot. The
Okay.
fluctuations would require you to put the entire 20-year table on the ballot. What's required is the first year and the average.
Well, no, I wasn't asking about putting the entire thing on. I thought that the highest would be on it too,
No.
but I was just curious.
Nope.
Okay,
It's the-
thank you.
It's the first, not the lowest or the highest, but the first and the average.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1. Next item on the agenda is a closed session for the purpose of discussing negotiations. Recommended action that the Board of Education goes into closed session pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, that being for board discussion connected with the negotiations of a collective bargaining agreement. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Moved.
Support.
Support. Roll call. Mrs. Murphy?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Mrs. Frank?
Aye.
Mrs. Bebut?
Sorry, I was talking.
Mr. Kennegbauer?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Aye.
Mr.
Yes.
Persily?
Yes.
I'm like, what?
7-0. When we come back out, there will be no further action of the board. Items for the next meeting, board calendar, East China Education Foundation grant winners will be announced at our next meeting. We will then adjourn after that. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.